So, what if the strongest man who ever lived wasn't a hero of faith, but a hero of pure, self-made will? Today, we're going to dive into how the biblical story of Samson got a massive philosophical upgrade, turning him into a symbol for one of the most challenging ideas ever.
Right, so we all know the story of Samson. This guy with incredible, God-given strength, who is also kind of impulsive, and let's be honest, his story ends tragically. The thing is, his strength wasn't really his. It was a gift, and it came with some serious strings attached. His downfall? It came from being unable to get a handle on his own passions. So that's our starting point, a hero who's completely defined by forces outside of himself.
But what if we flip that? What if that insane power wasn't a gift, but a choice? What if, in a world where the heavens have gone quiet, a man could actually forge that kind of strength for himself? That question, right there, is what takes this ancient myth and turns it into something totally different, something philosophically epic.
Okay, so to really get how big of a deal this transformation is, we gotta quickly ground ourselves in the original character. Let's talk about the biblical Samson.
So when you break him down, it's pretty clear. His power source, a gift from God. His motivation, super impulsive, always just reacting to stuff. His vows, they were just religious rules put on him from the outside. He was basically a force of nature, but he was never the master of his own fate. It's a tragic story about a guy completely tangled up in rules he never made for himself.
And now, let's introduce the philosophical earthquake that just shatters that old image. I'm talking about the ideas of Friedrich Nietzsche. This is where the story gets really, really interesting.
You see, Nietzsche didn't think humanity was a finished product, not at all. For him, we're in this dangerous in-between state. We're a bridge, or even better, a tightrope stretched over a massive abyss. On one side is our animal past, and way on the other side is this incredible potential he called the Overman, or in German, the Übermensch. And this slide just nails that journey perfectly. Over on one side, you've got the animal, driven by pure instinct, just reacting to the world. But on the other side, the Overman. This is someone who creates their own values, who imposes their will on the world, who writes their own laws. It's a journey from being a creature of circumstance to becoming the master of your own destiny.
So how do you make that dangerous journey across the rope? Well, Nietzsche called it self-overcoming. It's this constant process of battling your own impulses, your own limits, to push yourself into a higher state of being. And for our modern Samson, this is everything. It means he turns all that raw power inward, not just to break chains, but to forge a whole new kind of freedom for himself.
And this is the absolute key. Those vows that held the original Samson back, the modern Samson grabs them and uses them as tools for his own self-creation. They're not chains anymore. They're the hammer and anvil he uses to forge his own strength.
Okay, so if this modern Samson is forging his own strength, what's it all for? I mean, in a world with no divine rulebook, what gives his power any meaning?
Well, for Nietzsche, the modern world was dealing with something huge, the death of God. He meant that traditional religion and morality were no longer the center of our universe. And once that foundation is gone, you're left staring into a massive, empty void.
Which leads to the big question, a question that's both terrifying and thrilling. If the old values are dead, who gets to write the new ones? This is exactly the question that our modern Samson is built to answer.
The answer for Nietzsche is a radical, total commitment to this life, right here on Earth. His Übermensch becomes the meaning of the Earth. They stop looking for purpose in what he called supra-terrestrial hopes, promises of heaven or an afterlife. Instead, they create their own meaning right here in the real world. And that's why the modern Samson's power source is so important. He doesn't look up at the sky for a handout. No, he draws his strength right from the earth itself, from what the text calls the living lightning of the physical world. It says he literally swallows the lightning, taking in that raw, untamed power to make his own rules.
But look, raw power is not enough. To actually become a creator of new values, the modern Samson has to completely transform his spirit. And this is where we see the sublimation of the archetype, this incredible process of refining raw instinct into a higher purpose.
Nietzsche actually lays out this evolution in 3 amazing stages. First, the spirit is a camel, kneeling down to carry the heaviest weights of tradition and duty. Then, the camel becomes a lion, a powerful destroyer that says no to old values to create freedom. But the final stage, the goal, is to become the child. The child is a new beginning, a creator of new games and new values, a joyful yes to life. Our modern Samson, he embodies that final creative stage.
This gives us the ultimate combination. He's got the ruthless, world-changing power of a Roman Caesar, but it's fused with a deep, purposeful, value-creating spirit. He's not just a brute. He's forging a morality of strength, of excellence, and of a profound love for this earthly life. He's no longer just an impulsive titan. He's become an artist, and his life is his masterpiece.
So, let's put it all together. Let's look at what this completely reimagined archetype looks like. This is the modern Samson, the Nazarene Bridge, in his final form.
I mean, this table just lays it all out. The contrast is stark. The source of power goes from a divine gift to pure self-mastery. The motivation goes from simple impulse to the conscious creation of values. And his relationship to rules, it's completely flipped, from being constrained by them to creating them. He's no longer a pawn of the gods, he is the master of his own universe.
But the whole point of creating a character like this isn't just so we can sit back and admire him. This archetype isn't the finish line. Just like the philosophy says, he's not the destination, he's the bridge. And so, this Nazarene Bridge isn't really a story about a mythical hero at all. It's a challenge thrown right at us. It's asking, what are the constraints in your own life? The rules you didn't make, the limitations you face? And how can you, like the modern Samson, stop being a prisoner of those things and start using them as the tools you need to build your own bridge and create your own meaning?